Keep setting a program motivation. With your points, refuge field, positive field, the focus is practice. Refuge field. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Hare Vishnu, Hare Ishvara, Hare Vajrapani, Hare Samir Hare Matriya, Hare Tara, Hare Geshe Damdul, Hare Kalachakra, Hare Nagarjuna, Acharya Adideva, Acharya Bodhicittas, Acharya Nagabodhi, Acharya Chandrapati, Bodhicittas, Bodhicittas, Acharya Kamashir, Lama Selimba, Lama Atisha, Angul Baba, Sachin Kumar Mimbo, Saitya Palita, Jisun Tilupa, Jisun Nalupa, Jisun Marpa, Jisun Nela, Jisun Apalache, Lama Tsongkhapa, Geshe Damdul, and all the enlightened beings who you see as enlightened, who you see as inspiration for the practice of Bodhicitta, the practice of the wisdom of emptiness. And how you visualize them? You visualize them as your very affectionate parents. I imagine that you come home demoralized, being bullied by the other children at the school. You come home demoralized and your parents are waiting there, all the Buddhist Bodhisattas, all the enlightened beings are waiting there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. Bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents, all your children, all the members, and all the other sentient beings around you. And how you visualize them. Here you the mother and all others like children. And imagine they come home demoralized. And you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. And the purpose of this practice is to identify your true nature, the true nature of the purity, true nature of perfection, true nature of infinite happiness, true nature of fearlessness. While this is your true nature, why it is not manifest as yet is because they are obscured by the mental developments. The way the gold will mix with soil, the nature of the gold to glow does not happen. And the gold experts will convince the existence of the gold there by moving the dirt gradually. And as the dirt is removed gradually, the gold itself will start to glow likewise. The moment we remove the mental defilements, the purity inside, the purity of fearlessness, the purity of infinite happiness automatically start to glow. So how to make it happen is by resorting to the remedies. What are very powerful, the counter forces. The primary counter force of the wisdom of emptiness. Knowing that these mental defilements of two kinds, gross and subtle, gross referred to as afflictive obscurations, the presence which blocks us from achieving fearlessness or the nirvana, and the subtle one referred to as the cognitive obscurations, the presence of which blocks us from achieving Buddhahood or infinite happiness. And this afflictive obscuration is of two kinds, contaminant karmas, afflictions, and active seeds. Some are all related to the self-grasping elements. The moment self-grasping is eradicated from the root, all these three the kinds of affective obscurations will become little, and you achieve the fearlessness of nirvana. And for that matter, the wisdom of emptiness must be employed, and this wisdom and emptiness must be supported by a very strong desire to achieve the fearlessness or achieve the state of nirvana. That is known as renunciation. Whereas on the other hand, to eradicate the cognitive obscurations, the same wisdom of emptiness is to be employed, and the driving force must be much more powerful than renunciation. It must be the Bodhicitta, the beautiful mind of Bodhicitta, very powerful Bodhicitta, is supported by great compassion. And this must be granted on renunciation. So only with this the wisdom of emptiness can eradicate the cognitive obscurations. So this whole purpose of our being here, the morning practice and the studies and group discussions and so forth, they're all meant to directly or indirectly activate the wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta. And the wisdom of emptiness is very stable aspiration. For that matter, we need the shaman practice, okay, with that mind. And you are living this. You are living this, and all sentient beings are joining you. And let's go to page 3. And used with great compassion, you taught the negative Dharma to dispel perverted views, to use the Buddha without Mahathir homage. And used with great compassion, you taught the negative Dharma to dispel perverted views, to use the Buddha without Mahathir homage. And used with great compassion, you taught the negative Dharma to dispel perverted views, to use the Buddha without Mahathir homage. Okay, so all the last few days we've been talking about the bodhicitta, wisdom, bodhicitta's compassion, and wisdom, emptiness, of course, is the wisdom, two sides. If somebody tells you, say, what's the essence of Buddhism, you can, I think that's saying the wisdom and compassion. So, for example, say, look at every aspect of the practice that we are doing and the text that we are reading. There's always the mention of the compassion and the wisdom. So, for example, here it says, and teach with great compassion. So this compassion, bodhicitta, you're taught Immaculate Dharma. This Immaculate Dharma is the wisdom of emptiness. To dispel all perverted views referring to these self-grasping ignorance and all wrong views. To you the Buddha might be homage. This is Sattva argument. So likewise we see all the way down, we will see then the emphasis on compassion and wisdom of emptiness. So this is one way of saying that if somebody asks you what's Buddhism, what's the teaching of Buddhism, you can say, enrich your compassion, ground it on wisdom. With the wisdom, it becomes skillful compassion. Otherwise, oftentimes, compassion can make you feel burnout. Compassion, people take advantage of your compassion, and then you suffer, and then you feel like giving up your compassion. So this is all because of the lack of skillfulness. And skillfulness acquired through the wisdom. So compassion, what is Buddhism? Buddhism is compassion granted on wisdom. Okay. The next. Sangye Jula Soge Chanamla Chanjo Vadu Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Jinsoge Sonamge Koma Ranger Sangye Drupa Shu Sangye Jula Soge Chanamla Chanjo Vadu Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Jinsoge Sonamge Koma Ranger Sangye Drupa Shu Sangye Jula Soge Chanamla Chanjo Vadu Dani Kyapsuchi Dage Jinsoge Sonamge Koma Ranger Sangye Drupa Shu. I go for refuge until my enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, by making relations of practice of giving and so forth. May I become the Buddha to all sentient beings. I go for refuge until my enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, by making relations of practice of giving and so forth. by manipulations, practice of giving, and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, the next stanza, because we already explained it yesterday, just see if you can recall the meanings, and you can recite, for example, like this stanza every day, and with reflection on meaning. That would be very, very beneficial. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no settlement, no cease. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme of all teachers, the one who taught his speech which material with aberrations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattas. Who through the knowledge of all these hearers seek capacity to complete peace. Who through the knowledge of past forces was enlightened by readers like he beings in the world. And who through the possession of omniscience helps us curious expand variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivating parties with the benefits of teachings. The teachers, rather than protectors, to you of my frustrations. The one who has eliminated the lack of conceptualizations, and has endowed the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines for the further noble light grace, to you the Buddha of my frustrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I share the mind for awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye profound, peaceful, and aberration-free, clear mind and composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Find no one who can help this teaching in silence by the time of the woods. Pure natural thought and expression is the profession of wisdom, which is not born on season and has nature of space. It is the work of apprehension of self-reality wisdom. You are the one that Buddhas of the 3 times have created sins. All composite things in harmony. All phenomena are finished of emptiness and selflessness, transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of entities. We beseech you to kindly remain and keep teachings until the end of the expanse of feelings and aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove them into his right hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to him. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all who will into his gloom. If you attach to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you attach to society, you have no renunciation. If you attach to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is breath, you do not have a view. Page 14. Trace the shape of the Buddha. To the founder, the endowed consider the destroyer, the one born beyond, the all destroyer, a being perfect, full awakened being, perfect knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods of human beings, to you, the complete and fully awakened one, and thou trusting and destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the sacred clan, our persuaded make offerings and go for refuge. When those who bring on those students who have all in this earth, you place us in His Christ and set them supreme in this world, you who are wise cannot persuade. The pure body forms supremely pure, this motion like a golden mountain, bring the places in the three worlds, we are the best, Lord you ever persuade. With the supreme science faced like a spotless moon, other than one to you are persuade. Thus we like you, the three worlds are not, incomparable wise one to you are persuade. The Savior having great compassion, the Father having all understanding, the fear of Christ with qualities like vast ocean, to you the Sahara that persuade. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from lower ranks, one of matters, the one pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies and persuades. Those who are liberated are also show the path of liberation, the holy fear qualified for realizations, or devoted to moral precepts, to you is assigned by persuade. Do not commit any of virtuous actions, perform only total virtuous actions, so true mind quality is the teaching of Buddha. A star, visual liberation, a clever lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a hollow, a dream of flesh lightning and clouds, the conditions beneath the such. Through this Paris message be attained of all seeing, so through the four faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, the chairs that are of aging sickness and death. Page 29. I proceed to the direction of change. That's the idea of one time. The Buddha was where a mass of monsters mountain drives Kriya, together with the great community of monks and great members of the Bodhicittas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in concentration on all the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Master Vishvara, who took all the great practices of profound illumination of wisdom, and behold, those 500 years also ascended in nature. Then, for the power of Buddha, the Venerable Buddha said this to the Bodhisattva Master Vishvara, how to the inside of the lineage who wishes to practice dedication with profound professional wisdom training. He said that the Bodhisattva Master Vishvara said this to the Venerable Buddha. Shariputra, any of the lineage, the daughter of the lineage, who wishes to practice actually the profound professional wisdom, should look upon him like this. Directly and repeatedly beholding those 500 years also as empty in nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. And it is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, cognitive factors, and consciousness empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stillness, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no cognitive factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no eye element, and so on, including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, including no aging in death, and no extinction of aging in death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation of path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, also no attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely upon and dwell in professional wisdom. A mind without obscuration, thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, there is the endpoint in Nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifest the complete awakening, the answer of possible perfect complete enlightenment reliance on the professional wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the professional wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the Ansarvas mantra, the mantra equal to non-equal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be understood since it is not false. The mantra of the professional wisdom is Om Bhagye Bhagye Bhagavate Bhagasamgate Bodhiswaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, he trained the profound professional wisdom like that. Then the Buddha arose in that concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master Vishvara, saying, well said, son lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom just as you indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master Vishvara, those surrounding them time, the around the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, or which are in high place as spoken by the Buddha. Okay, as we recite this mantra and visualize the Bodhicittas with great compassion, exhorting us thus: don't remain in the fears of samsara. Come to this ultimate happiness by awakening the purity, by awakening the treasure of enlightenment within yourself. And you hearing this melodious voice of the Bodhicittas will inspire your two parents, will inspire your children, will inspire your all family members, will inspire everyone in the entire universe. Listen, this is what our compassion to the Bodhicittas is exhorting us. Let us not remain in samsara anymore. Let us all go along this path of the purity towards awakening the seed of perfection within ourselves. And everybody hearing what you say, they are so happy to join you in this journey of cleansing the mind, to awaken this Buddha nature within, to leave behind the samsara, to go towards the ultimate happiness for the whole. Okay, as we recite this mantra, Yatom Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samvade Bodhisattva, the most important thing is for us to be reminded that I should transform my mind. My mind must be transformed. And how to transform is to see the fun, the liberating part is the wisdom of emptiness. The wisdom of emptiness is the liberating part. And then it's really once in a while. But when you sing this, the mantra, and meditate, reflect on the emptiness. The moment you feel the emptiness experience, the moment you feel that, then you see that the insight, physiologically you feel that the peace is coming, a very tranquil experience is coming. This is the meaning of transformation. And then the more you practice it, more the tranquility comes into being. The tranquility is because of the mental stains, mental developments that have slowly been eroded, being grown top. Okay, this is how we should be doing it. Okay, today instead of 8 verses, we'll read the 3 principles of the path. Path 74. Page 74. Page 74. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I am able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Conqueror, the path praised by the Conqueror's children, the entrance of those who desire liberation. This with a clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of sacred existence, strive to make good use of this opportunity, and direct your minds to the path that pleases the Buddha. Without pure renunciation, an entry of attraction for the pleasures of sacred existence is unattainable. Thus from the outset seek renunciation. Reverse attraction to desire by reflecting on how pleasant opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without span. Reverse attraction to visualize by repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating life for an instant you do not embody this better sacred existence and be intent with liberation day and night, and at that point renunciation. However, renunciation is not tempered by pure mind of bodhicitta will not bring forth this. Therefore, the wise one should have the excellent mind of bodhicitta, circle in the current of the four powerful rivers, try the strong bonds of karma, swallow unto, and spend his time. Completing that by the thick darkness of ignorance, born and reborn in boundless sacred existence, cease this tormented by the three mysteries. Think of the Buddha as this condition, the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although the training of renunciation of the mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom to realize its ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of sacred existence. Therefore, strive to realize dependent arising. While you sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all focus to apprehension, as enter the path which pleases the Buddhas. Appearance of infallible dependent arising, emptiness of understanding that is pure assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, you have not yet realized the intent of the Buddhas. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of the infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all those grasping through definite discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence, and emptiness refute the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of cause and effect, you are not captivated by the allure of extremes. O my child, once you have thus realized the point of the three principal paths, seek solitude and cuddle with strong determination, and quickly reach the final end. Page 24, the 7th practice. Page 34. I bow down to the Buddha and Vishnu, two lands among humans, wander freely in the present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions, to all of you with bodies speaking sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a subtle deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, with all the Buddhas visualized as real, I bow down. On every atom of Buddhas numberless as atoms, each of is a host of Bodhisattvas, and I am confident that we are all phenomena is entirely filled with the Buddhas in this way. With infinite oceans of praise for you, and oceans of sound from the essence of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of these gardens. Beautiful flowers and liquid gardens, sweet music, scented lords and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense offered to you, glorious ones of Buddhas. Abundance and fragrant perfumes, sent Gurus of another nice among you, all wondrous offerings protect their array, offered to you, glorious ones. Which transcendent offerings, fearless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strong conviction in the Bodhisattva way. offering bow down to all Bodhicittas one. Every heart flash line bowed down, and the body's fishing mind, overrun by attachment, anger, and delusion. All is open living before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the miracles of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions. Also to realize us here still training, and those beyond, and of all ordinary beings. You are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions. You maintain the Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening. All you are my guides, please turn the Supreme Buddha Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you whom you actualize by the Nirvana. Please stay with us for eons numberless actions of the world, for the endless well-being of all wanderers in samsara. Whatever slight merit I may have accumulated by making frustration, offering and confessing, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha stay and teach, I have not taken all this book for awakening of all beings. Walking much longer. This ground unwanted the perfume, streaming flowers adorned with mock meal, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is the Buddha prison parade. Also thinking yours is pure land. Oh, such a good Geshe Becoming frustrated with ignorance that grounds of true existence, this blessing generate genuine renunciations, seeing all aspects of samsara as vicious and repulsive. This blessing that reminds you overflows with the reflection of devotee that cherishes others and master. This blessing have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see in an atom of intrinsic reality, always understanding how things come into being by the continual conditioning and conditioning. This blessing that reminds you overflows with the precious wisdom of non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Ekam Guru Ratnam Nandalakam Nirabhyami. The foundation of all good qualities. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind of perfect Guru. Right devotion to him is the root of all. By faith, seeing wisdom, and great effort, this best to rely upon him in great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this regard is found only once, its great meaningful and mystical defining meaning. This best to generate a mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as enormous as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it degrades and then comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtues and non-virtues come and follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this best to always to be careful that having even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtues and duties. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Reverence shortcomings, these blessings generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Thereby this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the presidential powers. These blessings accomplish this essential practice. Just as falling into six samsara, so all mother migratory beings. These blessings is training Supreme Bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of training migratory beings. Even if I develop Bodhicittas, but I will practice the 3 types of morality, I'll go to enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, it is blessed to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I pacify distractions from objects and rarely analyze the meaning of reality, this blessing will generate quickly within my mind stream, even if I part of my by inspiration science. Having become a pure vessel by training the general path,
Please bless me until the holy table of Christian ones, the supreme matter of April, and that I may grace for accomplishing true attainments, is given pure vows and Samaya. Lest I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect his vows and pleasures like my life. Then, having realized in all of the two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, in the Gurus who show the noble path, and the spiritual friends who bring us his long lives, please bless me to satisfy completely all out and inner hindrances, and all my lives never separate from perfect Gurus, and enjoy the benefits and Dharma by completing the qualities of the station of my heart and good attendance to the Bodhicittas. You are Bodhicittas, great treasure of compassion, body into true existence, and usually much of flawless wisdom, as well as one companion to our growth of dreams without exception. Some come by crown jewel of the saints with lamps of snows, nor some come by to feed and make restrictions.
Okay, next renunciation. For the renunciation, what we do is today we do the guided meditation. I think Trishila and all the trophy leaving tomorrow. Both is living today. Okay, so we'll do the guided meditation about the renunciation. So the point is that, and the way the instruction is given, later on, each one of us will be able to follow the analysis and the train of analysis to deepen the experience, meditation of the renunciation. For that matter, what we are doing here is a sample, and our job is on that basis. Then later on, you design your own practice, so the renunciation becomes the solid ground, and the intense. Okay. Our renunciation. Without such renunciation, the whole door of the Dharma is closed. So the renunciation, the main renunciation is not to renounce your happiness, but to renounce your miseries. To renounce miseries, we just know how to renounce the causes of the miseries. And to renounce miseries, aspiration for this renunciation, the renunciation of the miseries, one or the very general understanding renunciation, we want to renounce the suffering altogether. And the more refined version the final version of understanding of renunciation is the understanding of the renunciation in the form of the experience of emptiness, where all the miseries dissolve, and then abiding this experience. So to reach to that level of the expertise and the subtlety, once the Buddha taught the 3 seals or the 4 seals, and some sutras, Buddha taught 3 seals, and sutras, 4 seals. And all our problems, they arise from ignorance, and ignorance, the subtle expression of ignorance is self-grasping ignorance. To reach to that level of the subtlety, one should be able to first identify and discount the grosser levels of ignorance. And ignorance is primarily fourfold. Misconceiving impermanent phenomena is permanent. Misconceiving suffering nature as of happiness. Misconceiving impurity as of pure nature. Misconceiving selfless nature as of self-worth. So the first seal, viewing impermanent phenomena as impermanent, in other words, viewing all composite phenomena as impermanent. This is to counteract the misperception, ignorance, which misperceives impermanent phenomena as permanent. And the composite phenomena, anything which is composed of material parts, and the physical material parts, and the temporal mental parts, anything which is composed of these 2 parts should necessarily be of the impermanent nature. These are known as the composite phenomena. And impermanence are 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross is where the continuum terminates, whereas the subtle one is where the subtle one is where there's a momentariness involved. We need to reflect on both. The gross one. Okay, the beautiful moment, the first moment of our coming together. Coming together, so now it's almost coming to an end, and being together here, our mind is always at peace, everybody's so helpful to each other, sharing, learning, growing, joy, And the staff here, they're so helpful, kind, and the participants, they're all very helpful to each other. So, that's going to end. And the very beautiful moments of our youth, when you are age 10, in most cases, when you're age 10, 11, 12, you are quite self-sufficient, you are self-sufficient. At the same time, when there's somebody to always take care of you, where you have no sense of responsibility, and all your responsibilities are being taken shorted by somebody else, and then you just go through the easy and happy moments of your life. They're all now gone. For example, 2018, gone forever. And all the experience of the merriments, festivities, and so forth, which we experienced the last 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, they're all gone now. And with the old forts, old castles, these are testimonies for the reality of the impermanence. Once somebody was living there, somebody was so powerful, and everybody was subservient, was servant to them. So powerful. So like this castle was going to live for the next 1,000 years, 10,000 years, and so forth. Now they're all just gone. They're all just in form of ruins, memories, museum. These are the realities. It's not that they were built as museums, they were built as a place for very powerful people to live. And yet they are all gone. However powerful, however strong they built, they're all gone. Now only the remnants are left, only the ruins are left. Just people. Had it been the case that these ruins are not there, we would not remember what happened in those days. At least with these ruins, the memories come to us. 200 years ago, there were minimum 5 billion human beings. And all have the aspirations, all have to do this. This is what I like to do, this is my career, this is what I like to do. So much of plans, expectations, and so forth. But the plans are accomplished, not accomplished. They're all gone. And in those days, so many wars being fought. Craving for the land of others, craving for the property of others. Now, but they accomplished, not accomplished, everything is gone. The people who are defeated, the victors, everyone is gone. Not even a single person is left today. This is the power of the impermanence. And we are no exception. 200 years from now in the future, guaranteed, not even a single person out of the 7 billion human beings will be left then. Everyone will disappear. Only 2, 3, 4, 5 people can be remembered, might be remembered in those days. Otherwise, the rest of us, we will not even have a clue as to who existed. People might not even have a clue as to who. 200 years ago, a year known as 2019, a group came here. Who will remember this? They will all disappear. This is the power of the impermanence. So remembering this impermanence, obsession to things, not being aware, not seeing what tomorrow is going to be like, what your next level is going to be like, and obsession, just obsession to wealth, obsession to the properties, obsession to the youth, obsession to the body and so forth. Of course, we have to take care of our body, we have to take care of our youth, we have to take care of our the problem and so forth. But the obsession, this is the key. Obsession meaning not at all preparing ourselves for the future. So that will be released. You'll see that this is totally meaningless. And this the Buddha very clearly indicated in Dhammapada. Of course, the Dhammapada composed by another Arhat, but the basic ideas, they were all what he inscribed of what the Buddha taught. So there, Buddha taught, all what stands, falls, all what gathers, disperses, all what is accumulated is exhausted, and all what is born ends in death. This is reality. This is not to make us feel gloomy, it's for us to be pre-warned. It should be given a forewarning so that we can prepare ourselves for the future. This is the approach of the wise people. Before the illness kills us, we have to identify the illness. Only if you identify illness, when you identify illness, don't be scared. Identify illness will help you get into the illness so that you live longer. And all this impermanence is the reality of the life. This impermanence, gross impermanence, all underscores the subtle impermanence. The change that you see over 200 years' time is all because of the change that you see in a yearly basis. The change you see on a yearly basis is because of the change you see in the monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, minute basis, second basis. Second by second, all these composite phenomena are changing. And the change that you see on the second level is happening on the millisecond level. The millisecond level changes so fast. And this is the reality. The fact that we never acknowledged, the fact that we never pondered, we never reflected on this fact. If we reflect on this fact, all composite phenomena, no matter what, they all move so fast, like a very fast moving train. And it appears to the millisecond level, faster than that. Millisecond level, our eyes could hardly catch this moment, the changing flux and changing the momentary change. This is how everything's moving so fast. Your body, your mind, the gompa, your friends, your parents, everything's moving so fast. And this is a fact. It's so scary to think of this. Imagine what, if you really actualize this experience, if you could just, with your eyes, you could see this, what is it like, it will make us go crazy. It's so powerful. No way, no room left for us to feel any attached to anything there. With this reality, imagine if you're thrown into a very fast moving train, not know where this train is going. The more faster the train moves, more the fear you have. Likewise, not knowing where you're going with this impermanence, the faster you see is the transitoriness, the more the fear. Where is this train? Where is this train taking us? It all depends on the driver or the person and whose influence the driver is working. In our case, the driver is not like our mother. The driver is like the two demons dictating our mind as the driver, dictating the mind to take us to a very undesirable torture chamber. It was the death, and it was more and more the infringing, the excruciating pain. This is where we are going. It's so scary. The faster we move, the more the fear we have. Yes, that's true. This is what the Buddha indicated. as all contaminated things are suffering nature. As long as we enter the contaminations, under force of contaminations, so what we shall self-grasping the self-centered attitude, we will never experience the genuine happiness. They will only experience suffering, suffering like sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, the pain of losing near and dear ones, the pain of meeting with all undesirable, the undesirable experiences, the pain of getting separated from the happiness that we have, the pain of getting separated from the near and dear ones and so forth. Of life, our story is nothing, our biography is nothing but the biography of suffering, miseries. And this is a fact. Is there a way out? When will this come? 2018 start itself. We did not have to do anything, it started itself. When will this pile, this stack of miseries, endless miseries, when will this stop? No way. Unless until we put effort, it will never come to an end on its own. What kind of effort is required? The Buddha taught, Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All these phenomena don't arise randomly, don't arise causelessly. They arise from the respective causes. Unless we deal with the causes, these miseries will never come to an end on their own. How do we deal with causes? Because identify the cause of suffering is the final cause, the cause of sufferings are karmic karmas, which in turn are driven by the gross afflictions, which in turn are driven by the inappropriate attention, and finally driven by the self-grasping ignorance, complemented by self-centered attitude. Of course, to get into self-centered attitude by its roots is very difficult. That's done only when you achieve Buddhahood. But self-centered attitude, if you get rid of this, then like the self-grasping ignorance, if you're able to get rid of that, the self-centered attitude alone cannot throw you into the miseries. So the wise people will get rid of self-graspingness first. How do we get rid of this? Self-grasping ignorance, knowing that it's the ignorance which is like darkness. Just as the darkness can be eradicated only by introducing the light, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. What light of wisdom? The wisdom is the discerning mind, whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. What's the reality? The reality is what the Buddha taught as the third seal. Everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Okay, today we will meditate on emptiness of the self. What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body is in a meditative posture. And how this person, you will assess this self as a person, how does this person appear to you? Like a dream that your mind is projecting the self, the person, or it has nothing to do with the mind, not like a dream. It's so objectified there. Of course, so objectified there. This perception is the misperception of the self to be of self-nature or objective real, and believing it to be apprehending and apprehending it to be as objective real. This is self-grasping ignorance. How do you know that this is ignorance? How do you know that this is not valid? Okay, if it does exist the way it appears, the way you apprehend it, the self to be subjective real, then let us see what Aranyagarbha said. Let us remember what Aranyagarbha said. If the mirage were to be water, one of those close by the mirage see water. Okay, let us all say this together 3 times. If the mirage were to be water, one of those close by the mirage see water. If the mirage were to be water, one of those close by the mirage see water. If the mirage were to be water, one of those close by the mirage see water. Okay, but the similar to reasoning, you can say, if this person would exist objectively, why don't I see this person as I go closer to this object? Okay, let us go closer to this object. Going closer to this object, we see that we just ignore or leave aside whatever is not the self. We're only interested to see from the object as to where this self is. The self, which is something existing from the object. Okay, going close to the object, we see that there's a very thin layer of the skin, which is not the self. Take this aside. Then what's behind that is the fatty tissues, the cartilages, the muscles, the flesh. Of course, none of that is me. Keep it aside. Keep them aside. And then alongside the skeleton, the skull, the various bones which constitute the skeleton. None of this is, of course, none of this is this. I keep them aside. The heart, the lungs, the brain, the kidney, the spleen, the pancreas, the stomach, the gallbladder, the liver, none of this solid part is named. These solid parts constitute the element of earth. So if the element of earth is not permitted, keep them aside. Element of water, the blood which is pumping around by heart into different parts of the body. Of course, that is not me, keep it aside. Element fire, the body heat. The body heat increases and decreases depending on the temperature outside and how you work. But I don't increase, I don't decrease. So even that is also not me, keep it aside. Element of air that I breathe in and out through the lungs. Even this is also not me, keep it aside. And the space of vacuum in nature, I'm not present. Even that is also not me, keep it aside. What is left now? Only the consciousness or the mind is left. If this mind is also not me, I'm a male, I'm a female. My mind doesn't have a gender. Gender is positive on the basis of the body. And people can see me, but if I see mind, cannot see my mind. Keep that aside. What is left now? Nothing is left there. Okay. What is he now? I'm just seeing 6 elements. Tell me, which of 6 elements is this person? No, none. When you say none, you see the emptiness of the self being one with its parts, emptiness of the self being one with its emptiness of the self being one with its 6 elements. Okay, if it is not one with its parts, see if it is different from the parts. Remove the parts, remove the 6 elements. What is left? Nothing is left there. I realize that the self is not different from the parts also. The self is empty of being different from its parts. With these two realizations, there's no choice to say that from the object exists objectively. Given that these two options are not a reality, so the object, the self exists from the object, is not reality. Okay, now you see, I'm just in 6 elements. Of course, these are not the self. So yes, you are seeing the element of the 6 elements. This is not a meditation emptiness. You are just focusing, or you are just apprehending a partial phenomena. Emptiness should be seen as a non-affirming negative. But never mind, this is a very important a practice which greatly helps you to understand emptiness. It should be used as a stepping stone to understand emptiness. Okay, after seeing the 6 elements, the next question, where is the self? The self is not there. Okay, when you say self is not there, you are not going to nihilism because the mind that you employed is ultimate analysis. The nihilism is the self, the seeing of non-existence of self by the conventional analysis. So there's a difference here. This is not nihilism. Okay, in the eyes of the ultimate analysis, where's the self? The self is not there. Stay in this experience. You are getting the isolate of the emptiness of the self. Stay in this experience. And for us, unless until we have extensive studies of emptiness, unless until we have extensive studies in reflection meditation in the past lives of emptiness, most likely this experience of emptiness is going to be very gross impermanence, and going to gross emptiness of the 5 layers of emptiness which we discussed yesterday. It can be a very gross one, but it doesn't matter. That's how we begin. What's the benefit of this meditation? Of course, just as this self dissolves in this ultimate analysis, if you subject all other phenomena of suffering, sickness, aging, death, and so forth, there are all these elaborations of the mental agitation, mental turbulence, mental sorrow will dissolve in the experience of this emptiness. This is the final meaning of nirvana, experience emptiness, where all the miseries, agitation, sorrow dissolve. The moment the sorrow dissolves, the very subtle experience of the peace will surge within you. That aspiration to achieve that state of the experience of emptiness is the final understanding of renunciation. Okay, slowly come out of this practice, come out of this meditation. Okay, just few seconds rest before we move to the Bodhicitta practice. You're ready. Okay, for the Bodhicitta practice, reinforce the visualization of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. These are all the what do you call it? The skillfulness. Finally, we want to have this bodhicitta experience as soon as possible. For that matter, we have to create conducive factors to the maximum we can. So for that, as a part of that conducive factor, reinforce visualization. Buddha's Bodhisattva was so loving, so caring. Reinforce the visualization of all the Dharma sentient beings, including parents, your children, and all Dharma sentients around you. And here you are the mother, so loving, so caring to all sentient beings. Okay, with that in mind, we'll do the 4 meshaples. Ideally speaking, the 4 meshaples is a practice which is common to the Bodhisattva mind practitioners as well as to the Shravaks and Pradip Buddhas. But if you notice what we've been doing, with each of the 4 meshaples, we do a set of 3 practices. One is, how good would it be? And the next one is, may all beings. Then number 2, ultimate responsibility. Number 3 part, that is missing with the practitioners of the Shravakas and Pradip Buddhas. Okay, with that in mind, what we are doing becomes typically of the minor practitioner's practice of the 4 meshaples. Immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness? May all my dear sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness. Ultimate responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness. The Buddhist Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such courageous commitment, like the mother after all these many years of hardships in raising her children, eldest daughter, eldest son, they come to the mother, although they are still very tender young age 12, age 13. They come to the mother, mother, please take rest. I'll take care of all my siblings. I'm already grown up. I will also take care of you. You loved us so much. You have taken care of us all these many years. We also love you so much. I'll take care of you now. The mother could not believe her eyes and ears. She is so proud, so happy. Tears rolling down her cheeks. This is exactly what has happened to all the Bodhisattvas. They feel so happy and proud of you. This bright happiness invoked the compassion of mission minds. It was sent for nectars. Nectars are very sweet and nice to us. You are all different sentient beings. The mere touch of the nectars with the bottom makes you yours. It instills in all happiness and causes happiness in the minds of the sentient beings yourself. And you witness such miracles happening to us all different sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering? The cause of suffering probably consists from self-grasping and self-centered attitude, and the offshoots, gross afflictions, and the containing karmas. May all my dear sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such courageous commitment, they are intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness involve the compassion of mission mind to send nectar is very sweet and light towards you and all dear sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and nectars with the bodies makes you yours. Frees the beings from the miseries and the cause of miseries. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening across all the different sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Immeasurable joy. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the cause of happiness that they endowed with. May all my dear sentient beings be never separated from happiness and the cause of happiness that they endowed with. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the cause of happiness that they endowed with. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing the living such courageous commitment, they are intensely happy and proud of you. This bright happiness invoked the compassion of mission minds to send from nectars and sweet and light towards you all different sentient beings. The mere touch of lasting nectars with the bodies makes you yours, stabilizes the happiness and the cause of happiness that being sent out with. And you witnessing such a miracle happening towards all the different sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. immeasurable equanimity. How good would it be that all my divine sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to a similar version towards others? May all my divine sentient beings be freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some aversion towards others. I'll take the responsibility that all my divine sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some aversion towards others. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing that even such a gracious commitment, they intense happy and proud of you. This pride and the happiness and both compassionate mission minds, the central nectar is very soothing life to us, you and all human sentient beings. The mere touch of light the nectars with the box makes you yours. Frees the beings from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some aversion to others, and instead making them abide in the great state of equanimity, embracing all other divine sentient beings equally, leaving them aside. And you witness in such a miracle center towards all divine sentient beings, you're intense happy, take 3 deep breaths out with relief. Underscored for immeasurables is the unconditional love towards all divine sentient beings. Abide in this beautiful unconditional love towards all beings. Visualizing that this tremendous unconditional love you have generated now, with this, you just look at the eyes of each of the divine sentient beings with so much, with the radiance of love, radiating love and affection towards each one of them, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. You're giving them the reassurance, have no fear, I'm there, I'll take care of you. With the spirit of unconditional love towards all divine sentient beings, with folded hands, we'll make it one commitment, Bodhicitta commitment, 3 times together, wholeheartedly. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. Abide in this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind that can possibly exist in this universe. And today you have generated this, so fortunate. What a joy. Transform this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta into a spotlessly clean white vajra, the white moon disk, horizontally sitting with the heart. Amazing, really made such a gracious commitment, Bodhicitta. But what guarantees that if this Bodhicitta, you can become Buddha? Yes, of course, after Buddha nature within me. Why not it disactivated till now? Why not it manifested full from Buddha into Buddha till now? Since time immemorial, infinite number of lifetimes, you will never be Buddha. Yes, that's true. It's all because till today, I saw the self-grasping and self-centered attitude destroys mind, the best of my friends. And thinking deeply, I realized that since time immemorial till now, they would have every opportunity, if they're really my friends, every opportunity to take me to the highest happiness. And yet, they've only The only experience that I've had is the experience of excruciating pain, endless miseries. I realized that it's all because of the causes, these two demons. These two demons are actually the causes of all miseries, to them disillusioned. I'll exterminate these two demons. How? But it's also a very powerful remedy. What remedy? The wisdom of emptiness. Okay, let's quickly retrieve experience emptiness of yourself, which you meditated as the third seal of the four seals. What are you doing? I'm meditating. And this self is nothing but consciously six elements. Yes. Which of six elements is self? None. Different from six elements, where's the self? None. What is he now? I'm just in the six elements. You are seeing the isolated six elements. Where's the self? It's empty, it's not there. You are seeing the emptiness of the self. Stay in 6 months for a while. Gradually transform this fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness of the self, this fearless mind, into a spotless, clean white Vajra, comes white Vajra, vertically sit on one discovery heart. Amazing that you have the moon, which is symbolic of the conventional Bodhicitta, which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, the most beautiful mind in this universe. And Vajra is symbolic of the wisdom of emptiness, which is the conventional, the ultimate Bodhicitta. Ultimate Bodhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness of the Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas, it's amazing. Let's not forget that all the Buddhas of all the dear sentient beings around you, they are suffering terribly. They don't have Western moon. Yes, of course, with the intense whole purpose for me to have these two Western moon is to protect the dear sentient beings. What's the point if I don't share this gift of Western moon to all dear sentient beings in order to protect them? With intense love and affection, with great compassion, the Vajra moon that you visualize your heart multiply infinite number of times. Share one set of Vajra moon with your mother at the heart. One set of Vajra moon with your father at his heart. One set with each one of your children, each one of your dear sentient beings. Each one here in Kalachakra Center, the human beings, the animals, the insects, the gods, the spirits, and the hungry ghosts, the hell beings, the gods and goddesses, with each one of the sentient beings here in France, in your own country, in the entire universe. Amazing. Okay, now you feel so relaxed that even my dear sentient beings living outside the shield of Vajra moon. Yes. Let us not forget that all those Bodhisattvas, they are watching us since we started this morning practice. Yes. Why not we invite all those Bodhisattvas to be witness, to be guests and witness to undertaking the ceremony of aspiration Bodhisattva vow. As a gesture of requesting them, all Bodhisattvas, along with all human sentient beings, that soon this ceremony make 3 prostrations for all Bodhisattvas. turn to page 47 on your knees. The first stanza, is a preparation, but later on, if you are to take the Bodhisattva vow by oneself, on your own, and you can take the Bodhisattva vow on the basis of this single stanza. It is not necessary that you have to do all the 3 stanzas. Just with one stanza you can do the Bodhisattva vow. That's also possible. But with the 3 stanzas it becomes more elaborate and your mind will be moved more intensely. For that matter, the first stanza, but then whatever you do, the meanings must be well reflected, and particularly the experience, see how much you can evoke the experience. And the first stanza, I'll quickly explain this, just to remind you, you know the meaning already, but then a reminder. Given that this journey of taking the aspiration towards the vow and then following the journey towards Buddhahood, this is something which we have never done before. And this journey is very important, and in fact, of all the journey that possibly exists in this universe, this is the most important journey. Because this is a very important journey, very precious journey, for no doubt it's not easy. It requires a tremendous support. And the greatest of the support that you can think of is the True Gem. So the first line says, I'll go for refuge to the True Gem. When the child is on a journey could be start to go to school, and the parents are there as a support. So like once the journey to Buddhahood, we need the help, the support, the True Gem. Now we have a great support. And this journey requires 2 things. One is that the road must be clear. The road must be clear. If the road is blocked by the boulders, likewise the boulders, the trees and so forth, then you cannot see the journey. So the road must be clear, and the road is none other than your own mind. And the mind is being blocked by the mental elements, such as negative karmas, anger, jealousy and so forth. We have to remove these, and attachment and so forth. We have to remove these in order to clear the road to Buddhahood. So the best way by which to do so is confessing the negativities. So the second line says, I'll confess the negativities individually. Now the third line, while the road is clear, if the car does not have the fuel, again you cannot undertake the journey. So for that matter, the car must have enough fuel. So our mind, the car is none other than one mind. This mind should have enough to feel like merit accumulation. And the most effective way by which to do so, to accumulate enormous amount of merit within a short span of time, is by rejoicing in worship of others. So the third line says, I rejoice in worship of all beings. So now the road is clear, and the car is enough fuel. What kind of journey you will undertake? The fourth line says, I'll hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart, the journey to Buddhahood. I'll achieve Buddhahood for the quality of sentient beings. Okay, let us say this wholeheartedly 3 times. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Okay, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us, and all the sentient beings, like your younger siblings, they were all joining you as the eldest daughter, eldest son, doing something so noble today. You are encouraging, inspiring all your other siblings to join you, all sentient beings to join you, and you are leading this. And you are invoking the Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas to pay heed to you, and then you undertake the actual ceremony of the taking aspiration towards the ground. So for that matter, there are 2 stanzas. One stanza pertaining to the Buddhas, and one stanza pertaining to yourself. The first one with the Buddhas, and how this one prince, Siddhartha, how he succeeded in becoming Buddha today, so that one being is able to benefit innumerable sentient beings and lead them towards Buddhahood, lead them towards the ultimate happiness, fearlessness. How come that he is able to do that? So that the Bodhisattva, he did it through two things. One, very powerful motivation. The motivation Bodhicitta made a very strong determination to become Buddha for the all sentient beings. And then number two, to materialize the aspiration of this aspiration, we actually engaged in the Bodhisattva practices, such as the 6 perfections plus 4 perfections. 6 perfections: generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and the wisdom. And the four perfections are skillfulness, aspirational prayers, the power, and the discriminatory wisdom. So he engaged in these set of 10 perfections, 6 perfections plus 4. So that made him the full awakened one, and this allows him to benefit all sentient beings. It's amazing. If this is how the Prince Siddhartha succeeded, I'll follow his footsteps. I'll seek his inspiration and blessings, and I'll follow his footsteps by also generating very strong bodhicitta motivation, bodhicitta, to wishing to become Buddha for the world and sentient beings, and then to materialize this aspiration to bodhicitta. I will likewise engage in the Bodhisattva practices, the 10 perfections. Okay, wholeheartedly, let us say these two things. All the Bodhisattvas, they are watching us, and all your dear sentient beings are with you. And Bodhisattvas like your parents, the child, the young tender girl, the daughter and son, making a first public performance. So the parents are there, leaving aside everything, all of the words they left aside, and come to support you there. And this is exactly what Bodhisattvas they are doing today. And you, like this child, who are taking the action Bodhisattva vow. Okay, let's do this wholeheartedly together.
Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please speak to me. Just as various Buddhas have general knowledge and just as they successfully develop the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I declare the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please speak to me. Just as the various Buddhas have general mind of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully develop the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I declare the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please speak to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully developed the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I regenerate the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I do successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices.
Okay, feel the joy of what we receive the Bodhisattva vow. So fortunate, indeed, most fortunate. Of all these many lifetimes, today is the most eventful, the most memorable, the most virtuous, most noble. And Bodhisattvas, they were so proud, so happy to see that after all these many lifetimes, they were just expecting, they were putting all the efforts on us, expecting that we will discard negativities, engage in virtues. Even this much we were not doing. And today you not only engaged in virtues, but you did the greatest virtue, the Bodhicitta Vismatas, and put them into form of teachings when they asked the Bodhisattva vow. They could not believe this is such a joy, such incredible pride and joy for them, such a jubilant celebration for them. So happy. This pride and celebration, this pride and the joy that they feel, invoke the Vajra moon in the full-fledged form in the Buddhist and Bodhisattva's mind to multiply infinite number of times. In barrage, like in shower, these replicas Vajra moon, they descend to merge with the Bandhari visualize the heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized and blessed. Likewise, all these replicas of Vajra moon from the Buddhist Bodhisattvas in barrage, like in shower, they The descendant points for the one that we visualize it at the heart of the mother, at the heart of the father, at the heart of each one of the children, each one of the different sentient beings, everyone here in Kalachakra Center, everyone in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Amazing. This we have never done in the past lives. Today we did it. We're so fortunate. We're so fortunate. This is the greatest gift that we can possibly think of, making to the sentient, different sentient beings. And today you did it. And this is the greatest offering that we can possibly think of, making offering to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And today you did it. And the Buddha very clearly indicated to generate one moment of compassion is far, far, far greater, more valuable offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas than the offering of the whole universe filled with gold, diamond, jewels, and the gems and so forth. If this is the reality, the Buddha mentioned of what we did today, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they feel so happy, so proud. This is the greatest offering that we make to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Amazing. And this is the greatest meaning of your life. You have extracted the greatest meaning out of life. This is the meaning of being so wise, wisely kind to yourself. And this all happening because of the kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking them, along with all the such beings, we slowly start to make 3 prosperous for Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Seats. At page 48. The first stanza is to connect us to the next lives, connect us with the practice of 2 Bodhicittas in the next lives. And the remaining stanzas are filled with joy. So then in the next lives we will, the moment we connected, we will rigorously engage in the practice of Bodhicittas. And then we continue the journey of Buddhahood. Okay. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are with us, and all demonstrations you are inspiring all demonstrations to join you in this. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by compassion with them and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even though the personal life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by compassion with them and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even in the course of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by compassion with them and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even in the course of my life. In order to further increase this bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment who have loosely seized and awakened the mind of bodhicitta in this way should highly praise in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit, and when my Lord attained this human existence, I have been born in the family of the Buddha, and now rather Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied trace. Just like a blind person discovering jewels in a liquid rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakened mind has been born within me. Is the supreme and glorious that the Lord comes the sovereign of death? Is the inexhaustible treasure that the living soul holds in the world? Is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease? Is the tree that shelters all beings wandering and tired on the path of conditioned existence? Is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth?
is the dawning mode of the mind that dispels the trauma of disturbing conceptions. It is the great sun that finally removes the mystic ignorance of the world. It is the conditions of butter from the journey to middle dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence, who wish to experience the knowledge and happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in the supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the Buddhas, protectors, I invite the world to be guests at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight. May God's demigods and all be joyful.
Page 15. This is page 44. To reinforce compassion, to intensify compassion, we think about the pervasive conditioned suffering of the sentient beings, the real manner in which the sentient beings will suffer because of being sucked up in the dream of the self-grasping appearance, the illusion created by the self-grasping appearance. So as long as one is sucked in the dream, and one is never free from the dream. The dream is constantly going to affect us, affect the sentient beings. And so likewise, as long as one is sucked up in the dream created by the self-grasping ignorance of things that are so real, we will never be freed. So this is samsara. So knowing this reality and then having cultivated a very strong compassion towards beings, your compassion will become very intense and very profound. Therefore, sentient beings resemble dreams. Upon analysis, they are like plantain trees. Whether they release or not from sorrow, there is no difference. What is there to gain, what is there to lose, with things that are empty to existence in this way? Who is there to gain and respect, and who is there to abuse me? From what pleasure and pain derived? What is there to be happy or unhappy about? When one searches for ultimate nature, who is there to crave and what is there to crave for? Upon analysis, this world of living beings is found to have no need to existence. Therefore, who can die here? What is there to come and what has been? Who are friends and who are relatives? O you who have met in reality, please recognize as I've done that all is just like space. Those who wish to be happy are greatly disturbed by causes of conflict, and overjoyed by the causes of pleasure. But not finding happiness, they suffer. In order to find it, they exert themselves. They argue with others, cut and stab one another. With many wrong things and great hardship, even though they immediately come to happy existences and experience much pleasure there, but when dying they fall for a long time into unbearable suffering or realms. Within the conditioned existence, the chasms of suffering are many, and the liberating comprehension of the ultimate truth is absent. Further, the apprehension of true existence and the understanding of emptiness mutually contradict one another. But if one in conditioned existence and do not realize this ultimate truth, as it continue to experience a limited ocean of misery, unbearable and beyond analogy. Likewise, through not having realized emptiness, a little stressful virtue, and my human life relation and endowment is indeed very short. Also, strive hard to live long and avoid illness. I'm concerned with hunger, rest, and sleep. I'm injured by others and keep meaningless company to childish. Therefore, this life swiftly passes with no meaning, and it is very hard to find the chance to investigate reality. In this state, where is there the means to reverse this beginnerless habit of grasping true existence? Furthermore, temples observe themselves, and it is hard to resolve doubts about the perfect way. It will hard to find the leisure of human life again, and still find the presence of Buddhas. It is hard to forsake this flood of afflictions, allow such beings to continue to suffer. For indeed, it is worth feeling sorrow for those that drift in the river of pain, who although they experience great misery, are unaware of the suffering they go through. For example, some ascetics wash themselves again and again, and others repeatedly enter fire, but although they thereby suffer greatly, they present themselves as being happy. Similarly, those who mistake their suffering for joy and live as though they are no agent of death are first of all killed by the law of death, and then experience the unbearable misery of falling into lower realms. When shall I be able to extinguish the pains of those tormented by the fire of suffering, with the rain of accumulated happiness that has sprung from the cause of my merits, and by having the manner of law objectifying true existence, intensely will I gather the accumulation of merit? When will I be able to reveal emptiness to those who are wretched and sad by beauty of true existence? Orthodox Dedication Prayer, page 49. I dedicate the marriage thus gathered towards the realization of the teachings and prayers of the Buddhas and Bodhisattas of 3 times, and to upholding the doctrine of spiritual insight.
that all life through the force of Spirit, never separate from the focus of the mind and ego, and that helps all stages of path, renunciation, bodhicitta, profit in the two stages. From my true collections, vast of space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for great length of time, may I bring the shielded in Buddha for all those whose minds of this mind blinded with ignorance. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Swaha. 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 Om Mani Mani Maha Mani Swaha. Om Mani Mani Maha Mani Swaha. Om Mani Mani Maha Mani Swaha. Om Mani Bene Ho. 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 Om Arabazanadi. 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 Om Arabazanadi.